the Nebraska Cornhuskers were absolutely no match for Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba, and this is our live reaction after the Colorado Buffaloes just dominated, number 22 Colorado Buffaloes just dominated Nebraska. I need you guys to know that this episode of Locked On Buffs, which is coming to you right after the game, is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDIN for $20 off, or Locked On College, for $20 off your first purchase. Okay. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty, the game itself. The Buffs dominated Nebraska. Is obviously a rivalry game, and there was no competition. I will say at the beginning of the game, a little bit of a rock fight. Hard to argue that there, but realistically, got the stats in front of me. The Buffs, they pulled away. I talked about it before the game on every show I went to. I said, if Colorado can get this to where it should be a shootout, they'll win the game. And they needed some improvement from the defense, and they got that. I ripped pretty hard into the defense this past week. Rightfully so. They didn't have their best showing against TCU, but here's the thing. They improved. Jawan Mitchell, the Tennessee transfer, got the start, and now the Buffs are 2-0. And I want to show you guys this video that Coach Prime, I tweeted out, went viral yesterday, of telling the team that they're not going to get beat in their own home. Said, and this is, and I quote, he said, "Ain't nobody whooping us at the crib." I wanted to share that video with you guys just to kind of show, nobody's whipping them at the crib. Here's what Coach Prime had to say.
It's our house, man. Look around. Ain't nobody whooping us at the crib. I don't know what kind of man would let somebody come in his house and whoop him. I don't know where y'all come from, but where I come from, ain't nobody coming in your house. Ain't nobody coming to your street. Ain't nobody coming to your block. Ain't nobody coming to your crib that's going to whoop you. Understood? You know why? It's personal. 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 It's personal.
Y'all heard the man. He said it's personal. Nobody's coming to the crib to whoop him. And I think Nebraska, they came in very confident. The fans came in confident. They were like, "Oh, look at all the red in the stadium. There was so much red." Realistically, there's a little video on Twitter, or the app formerly known as Twitter. You guys can go check it out now. Going around of that sea of red, quote unquote, sea of red. I will say there was fans there, but it's college football. There's always going to be fans of other teams there, unless you're like from Syracuse playing against future ACC foe Stanford or something. Don't know if they're making the New York to Palo Alto trip, but there's a nice video of all of the Nebraska fans leaving. The Buffs dominated, though. Let me go through some of the interesting stats before we move on to kind of, I guess, the main storylines, which was what we learned about this team. Shedeur Sanders, obviously. I think Travis Hunter, which this is kind of weird to say, quieter game, 3 catches for 73 yards. Didn't record an interception, did have a pass breakup. So a quiet game for him, but Shedeur Sanders, nearly 400 yards of passing, 393 yards, 2 touchdowns, 74% completion. They beat down Nebraska so bad that we got to see his backup, which, I mean, if you're the backup, you got to love. If you're the fan base, you got to love too, because realistically, and we got a comment here, it was personal. Yeah, it was. That game was for sure personal. They took care of business. They're showing will. And guess what? They're 2-0 with a chance to be 3-0 heading into next week. They have Colorado State. But back to the stats. This is the one that stood out to me the most. Outside of Xavier Weaver kind of emerging as the number 1 receiver today, 10 catches for 170 yards, 1 touchdown. If you look at Nebraska stats, and I said, and this was my biggest criticism of Nebraska, and this is why I said Colorado was going to dominate them. They have shown that they are not a good offense. They have shown that they cannot get in shootouts, and it's only been 2 weeks, but Minnesota last week, they were only able to put up 10 points. Jeff Sims made some costly mistakes. Today, Jeff Sims, 9 of 15, 106 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He also had a fumble, I believe, as well. So it was not great for him. They turned the ball over. Let me see the comparisons right here. Sorry, I'm on my little stats page. Wanted to to have these all ready. Colorado had 3 fumble recoveries. Not great. I think in terms of the turnover battle, Colorado lost just 1, I believe it was. Let's see. Let me go. Yeah, I mean, points off turnovers. Colorado had 16. Nebraska only had the 7. Nebraska lost 3 fumbles. They fumbled the ball 4 times, and then they obviously had the interception. So Colorado's defense came and performed. The linebackers, especially Juwan Mitchell, shout out to him, made his first start. And I think I was kind of weary of when he would play just because obviously he joined the team about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now. And I think realistically, I was like, he's really good. I covered him while he was at Texas. But when you join the team about 10 days before the season, not sure how much you are going to or not sure how long it's going to take for you to learn the playbook. And obviously he learned it well enough. He started. The defense was on fire. Obviously we got some comments down here from Jacqueline. Xavier Weaver is pro-bound for sure. Totally agree. Coach Hart took it personal, as he should have. That defense looked not great last week. They were kind of embarrassed. And I think it's kind of weird to say this, but had Colorado's defense maybe gotten 2 stops last week, 2 big stops or whatever, maybe they win that TCU game by double digits. So we're talking about this Colorado team as one of the more dominant teams in college football, but we'll get there. People will learn. But yeah, huge win for Colorado. They're now 2-0 in the season. They host Colorado State, in-state rival, the Rocky Mountain Showdown, which Colorado State should not be slept on. It's an in-state rivalry game. This is what you call a trap game. If you guys are familiar with the phrase a trap game, obviously the schedule goes Nebraska, Colorado State, but then Oregon is right around the corner. So we definitely don't want Colorado to be caught looking ahead. So Colorado State got to take that team seriously and realistically. If you're a gambling man, woman, being the win total for Colorado is 3.5, and there is a chance that they will have hit that mark by week 4. So huge shout out to Colorado there. The Buffs dominated Nebraska. Jeff Sims showed that he could not throw, was not able to make consistent plays. Had a big play with his legs. That was nice. But other than that, nothing really special. When we're gonna talk about what we learned about this Colorado team after I tell you about Nutrafol. Nutrafol is one of our newer sponsors here at Locked On, and let me tell you, if you or a loved one struggle with maybe some hair thinning, let me tell you about what Nutrafol brings to the table for you. I personally have this nice hair. Nutrafol helped me out. Here's the thing. You don't have to choose between better hair growth or your health. Sometimes it gets a little dicey. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair, no drugs, no compromises, just better hair. I think most men think losing their hair is inevitable. We look at our dads or grandpas, we're like, oh, we're next. We're going to go bald. This nice flow is going to disappear. But you have the opportunity to take control of your hair's future with Nutrafol science-backed hair growth supplement for men. Did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of that with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. So if you want to keep the flow going, and 84% of men showed improvement in their hair after 6 months after taking Nutrafol. If you want to do the same and see that improvement, take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men/NUTRAFOL.com/men and enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for that healthier, better hair. Okay, back to it. What did we learn from this game? I think there was a lot to learn. I think we learned that realistically, and this is no knock on Travis Hunter, I think it's fair to say he didn't quite have the impact he had last week, and maybe Nebraska schemed that way. I think we kind of saw every time they threw Shedeur, or every time Shedeur threw the ball to Travis, there was about 3 Nebraska defenders in the vicinity. I think they were focusing on kind of limiting what he could do, which is fine. Obviously, all the Buffs fans, we want to see Travis Hunter popping off. We want to see him go for 300 yards. We want to see him grab 3 interceptions. But hey, they got Jimmy Horn, Xavier Weaver. Tavares Dawson, the Auburn transfer, had 2 touchdowns. So I think we learned that Shedeur can rely on Travis Hunter, but he doesn't always have to. He's got Xavier Weaver, which I read his stat line off. Let me go through some of the other stats for these other receivers because they got team effort. Jimmy Horn, 8 catches, 64 yards. Travis Hunter had the 3 for 73. Tavares Dawson had 3 catches for 41 yards. Dylan Edwards, quieter day for him, 3 catches, 8 yards. Who else? We got Michael Harrison, the tight end. He had 2 catches for 25 yards. It's not bad. And then you look in the run game, better than last week, still not as effective as I think they would like it to be. Dylan Edwards led the way with 9 carries for 55 yards. Anthony Hankerson, 6 carries for 26 yards. Charlie Offerdahl got a couple carries in there. Still no Alton McCaskill. Kabosi Smoke only had 1 carry for, I believe it was a yard. So that run game's still coming, which is fine because when you have a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders who is realistically just balling out every single week, it's a great thing. Here's the thing. We learned about the defense, and I myself learned about the defense. I'll say I questioned them. I think it was fair to question them. Realistically, TCU hung almost 300 yards of rush yards on them last week. And the defense showed up. Like you guys are saying, they showed up, they showed out, they made plays. Juwan Mitchell, despite being on campus for about 10 minutes, he was the missing piece for that linebacker group. Levante Bentley kind of got bumped to the spot, and realistically, got bumped from his spot, excuse me. Realistically, Juwan Mitchell made no plays. Levante Bentley still came in, had a huge hit towards the end of the game. And here's what we learned, and this is the most important part. Despite putting up, and it makes me laugh because it's really that crazy. Colorado put up 36 points, right? Not bad. Second week scoring over 35. They put up 45 last week. Not bad, you would say. I would say this was a weaker performance from the offense, and they still won by over 20 points. They won by 22 points, and the offense did not have their best game at all. So here's the thing. The defense stepped up. The defense is way improved, and the defense could play like this every week. I'll say it right now. Colorado could probably contend for the Pac-12 title, and that's not an over-exaggeration because every Pac-12 offense, for the most part, I would say outside of even Stanford's offense is improved. Maybe Arizona State's offense is kind of, I would say, the worst offense. Every offense is good, but not every Pac-12 defense is that good. And so Colorado's defense can perform like this week in and week out, which we all know. And I hate the saying because it's like so obvious that it's like, obviously they improved, but there's so much growth from week 1 to week 2. And we saw that firsthand. Colorado's defense, I think, was the biggest proponent of that. They looked kind of like a mess last week. Outside of Travis Hunter in the secondary, look at that. Everybody's just raving about the defense. Yep, they stepped up major this week. The offense kind of has to get better. They didn't lock down the receivers, the pass rush. I think the pass rush too, which I wanted to conclude my point on the defense. The more the defense improves and the more, obviously, we know the secondary is going to be a problem, but it was the pass rush that made a difference this week. They were bringing Jeff Sims down. Let me talk to you about the defense a little bit. Get a little sack action. They had 1 sack, not bad, but they had 6 tackles for a loss, 3 pass breakups. If they could continue to build on that, this Colorado team is going to be even more complete than what we kind of thought they already were. And that's pretty crazy to say because last week, at least my takeaway was the defense not so good, offense great. This week, the offense was pretty good, and the defense was great. For what they compared to last week, they were great. The offensive line and the offense in general, which this is a testament to Nebraska and what their plans were coming into the game. Nebraska got a lot of pressure on Shedeur. He did hold on to the ball a few times where he probably could have thrown it away or maybe scrambled. Not really sure what the move would have been for him at each individual time, but they sacked him 7 times. So that's not great. They were getting a lot of pressure on him. The first half was a good old rock fight. It was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, 13-0 by the end of the second. And I think the offense left some points on the board left some points on the field that they realistically they could have. I think it was that last field goal could have been a touchdown, and they could have gone into the half up, let's say 17-0 with a chance to make it 24-0 by the time the third quarter rolled around, but they didn't. The offense was a little slow starting, but then Shedeur Sanders really picked it up. And here's the thing. When your offense has their, I wouldn't say it's their A game. We'll call it their B plus game, their B game. If the offense has a B day, and not birthday, but you know what I mean. If they don't perform to what we expect, 500 yards, 600 yards, and the defense comes through like this, and you still win by 20, that's a sign of a good team. Because realistically, if Colorado was a quote-unquote bad team, like people have been saying, if the offense was struggling, then the defense kind of would have fed off that energy, and they would struggle too. But Colorado's a disciplined team. Coach Prime, Sean Lewis, which he was in his bag. Oh, my gosh. That Tavares Dawson rushing touchdown, oh, my gosh. I think I shed a single tear. I had like a little teardrop roll down my face because I was like, that is just a thing of beauty. It was like they had people in motion. That Shedeur was faking little shovel passes to people and just flipping it to them. And then Savion Washington. We call it the pancake. Pancake Nebraska defender. I'm going to call it the flat Stanley. The offensive line had some struggles. Yeah, I see you guys commenting. But they did their job. I think Shedeur held on to the ball a couple times. I think it was one of those things where everybody had some things to improve on offense. But here's the thing. It's okay. Colorado's 2-0, number 22 team in the country. And now they head to Colorado State. Well, they don't head to. They head to a home game next week, 2-0, where most people thought they would be 0-2 by this point. And Nebraska's in that situation. And let's talk about Nebraska for a little bit. We all know that Matt Rule, and comment below what you guys thought about Nebraska. I think Nebraska came out with a decent defensive plan, but obviously when your offense gives you nothing, your defense gets tired. I said all along that they can't expect for this Nebraska defense to hold up in a shootout if the offense is providing nothing. And honestly, I thought Colorado was going to shut them out. Realistically, I don't count that last touchdown. That was a kind of a petty touchdown where it's kind of, I don't want to be the unwritten rules guy, but the game has 10 seconds left and we're going for it. Who are we talking about had Nebraska win? I predict Colorado by double digits every week. Since the week 1 win, I had Colorado by double digits, and when I did my season preview months ago, I had Colorado winning this game. So let's stop that. But here's back to what I was talking about. Nebraska had a good game plan defensively. They're trying to take out Travis Hunter out of the equation, which, I mean, good plan. They're getting pressure on Shedeur, also a good plan. And they continue to slow down the Colorado running game, putting all the pressure on Shedeur Sanders. The only problem is Shedeur Sanders is probably a top 5 quarterback in college football. So he's going to make every single throw, even a throw where someone smacks his elbow and he throws it about 1,000 yards into the air. It's still going to end up in a Colorado receiver's hands, which you love to see. But Nebraska, they couldn't keep up, and I said they wouldn't be able to. Jeff Sims, unfortunately, went down with injury. Hope he's okay. He's not where he needs to be developmental-wise as a quarterback to really scare opposing defenses, and I think that's why that was the issue that they had all game. And I think that's going to be an issue for Nebraska. We all know that Matt Rule in Nebraska will kind of continue to work through things. But typically the Matt Rule direction goes struggle first year, bounce back second year, and Colorado beat them up and kind of showed, have some fun. We'll see you guys next year, which there were some talks about this game, which I don't think they play next year, but there's some talks about this game being a permanent game or them playing every year. Love to see that. Colorado needs to tighten the window on the rivalry mark. But here's the thing. Yeah, Tom Brady did mentor Shedeur Sanders, and it shows. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks. He's got a great arm, one of the smartest quarterbacks in the country. And realistically, the Buffs are grateful to have him. Before we move on and talk about what's next for Colorado, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Getting those tickets isn't always easy, especially when everybody wants to watch the Buffs. I know myself, sometimes you want to watch your favorite team and it's a little last minute, or the boys, the gals, the group. We're being spontaneous and it's like, tickets are expensive. Or we don't have seats. Well, that's not the case with Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite event should never be stressful. They have flash deals and last minute tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. The coolest part is you can click on whatever seat you want and you can see exactly what your view would be. That's amazing. They have a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. Sometimes events like maybe Morgan Wallen concert or maybe a Drake concert gets canceled. It happens. They have event cancellation protection. They have job loss protection. So forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get these exclusive flash deal tickets on football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what you expect when you arrive. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, all you have to do is create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to all of you guys watching that live, and then welcome to all you guys who aren't watching live. Looking ahead, let's talk about the overview of this Colorado team. I would say most people, best case scenario, had Colorado. No, 5 sacks is not good. I know why we're debating if the offensive line played well in the chat. They did not. The offensive line struggled. You give up 7 sacks, not a great performance. But here's the thing. Colorado still won the game. So if they can kind of shore up that offensive line, maybe get some running backs to help out back there, they'll be fine. But we're looking ahead to the season. Just in general, I think most people, 99.9% of people, myself included, I was wrong. I'll wear that one right on the chin. I was wrong. I said Colorado would be 1-1 by this point, and they're 2-0. So they're ahead of my schedule, which my schedule doesn't matter. I had them going 6-6, and now if I had to redo it, I would say 7, 8 wins, 9 wins, Pac-12 championship. Who knows? Can't wait to see. I appreciate you, Sancho Macdos. I do have a brain sometimes, not all the time, but I do. I try to. But here's the thing. Back to the Colorado Buffs. Whew. Most people thought they'd be 0-2, 1-1 by best at this point. They're going into week 3 with a really good chance. Let's see if they have odds for that week 3 game. Colorado State, they should be favored significantly. I don't know if ESPN will have the odds, but we'll have the prediction matchup thing where they could kind of predict who has the better chance to win. Yeah, Colorado already has an 82% chance to win. So basically, they have an 83% chance of being 3-0. And I think if you would have asked most people about a month ago, they would have been like 10% chance, 20% chance. And do they have odds for this game? They don't. Would have loved to see some odds. If I had to guess the line, because looking at Colorado State, they are 0-1, and they got beat pretty handily in their first game against Washington State. Who do they have this week? They don't play this week. So they lost to Washington State 50-24. So I imagine Colorado's going to open the game as like 25, 30-point favorites. So Colorado, and again, I stress this because it's important. Do not overlook Colorado State because it's an in-state rivalry. It's a trap game. Not USC. Oregon's overlooking the next week. But Colorado's a game away from being 3-0, heading into Eugene for what will be a top 25 matchup. ESPN Game Day might show up in Eugene, and I think all the doubters of Colorado, because I think there was a lot of doubters. I think there was people. I think I get called a doubter a lot for saying that they weren't going to go undefeated. I just didn't know what to expect from this team. I still don't know what to expect from this team long term. I would say right now they're one of the hottest teams in college football, if not the hottest team. Their offense is one of the best offenses in college football. Their defense worries me, but then I compare them to the Oklahoma Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray offenses, where they did all the work, but the defense kind of slacked off and wasn't what they needed from them. So, yeah, realistically, this Colorado team just absolutely blew the doors off Nebraska. They beat TCU, could have blown the doors off of them, and now they're in position to really be one of the best teams in the country. I don't know if they'll move up. They'll probably need some other ranked teams to lose. But, yeah, any questions about the game that you guys want me to answer? We got one question. Why not just tell Hunter to run and then throw the ball up? I understand wanting to get Travis Hunter the ball, but here's the thing. You have so many weapons. You don't want to force it to him. One, maybe it forces him to dive or make an unnecessary effort that could injure him. Or two, maybe it just puts the offense in jeopardy of turning the ball over. We have people saying long-term success. We love that. Any questions you guys want me to go over? Van Wells. I have my intern Griffin is at the press conference right now, so I'll have him update that in his article, Pete Postgame, excuse me. Utah looked questionable. They almost let Baylor back in it. Yeah, they did look questionable. I think the thing to keep in mind about Utah, because I also dabble in covering the Pac-12, is they were without Cam Rising. They were without Brant Kuthi, the tight end. They lost their running back, I believe, to a, those bird scooters, the electric ones. I believe he was lost to a bird scooter. So they were without their quarterback, Bryson Barnes, their backup quarterback, who started against Florida. Did not play well. Nate Johnson did. They were missing some guys on defense, and Baylor's a really good defense. So you got to give them credit where credit is due. Yeah, they didn't get the ball to Travis or Jimmy. Nebraska was kind of keyed in on those guys, but that opens up Xavier Weaver. Realistically, that's when you have 7 receivers that could all be maybe the best receiver on a different team. It's a good problem to have. Yeah, but I like this comment right now. Colorado's performing like 6-6. They need to work on the offensive line and the run game to win over 6 games. I agree. I think the run game will get a boost though when Alton McCaskill comes back. I don't think you add someone who was the American running back of the year or whatever they call it, and kind of. I don't think that the run game will struggle. I think Dylan Edwards, for how good he is, for how electric he is, I think he struggles for running between tackles, and I think defense is kind of keying on him. Do they have any top offensive line recruits out of Colorado? Colorado is recruiting a few offensive linemen. They had a 4-star yesterday, or 5-star, I think, 4 or 5-star high recruit. Talk about how he wants to come build the Great Wall of Boulder, and he said he wanted to block for Shedeur, so they have one on the way maybe. I don't know why nobody's speaking down in Colorado. We're just talking about what they can improve on. Shiloh Sanders, we're getting a lot of Shiloh questions. I think the secondary is specifically Shiloh. I think he's a big play, big risk taker sometimes. And so for every time he has a big hit, there's a play where maybe he should have taken a different angle. There's also Travis Jay. Good point. Travis Jay is not healthy. He was in a jersey but not suited up. But I think Shiloh's just shaking off the rest. They're getting used to playing together. Yeah, Oregon and USC are not stopping this offense. That's a great point. This offense looks, I would say, virtually unstoppable, and Nebraska was a really good defense. Let's not take that away from them. Nebraska is a really good defense, and I would say in the second half, Colorado figured out what they need to do and kind of pick them apart. So I appreciate you guys for joining me. This Colorado team is 2-0. Coach Prime leading them to glory. I'm very excited to see what this team turns into. Excuse me. Yeah, he had a bad penalty too. Big risk, big reward, Shiloh Sanders. I think he's gonna blow some people up. Like he's gonna lower the shoulder and lay some wood, as they say, and then maybe he's gonna whiff on a tackle or two. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. This has been your post-game live recap. Colorado's 2-0. Shedeur Sanders, nearly 400 yards of passing, 2 touchdowns. I think, let's see, Xavier Weaver was the leading receiver. He had 170 yards receiving. Dylan Edwards, 55 yards on the ground. Jeff Sims for Nebraska, 106 yards, 1 pick. Nothing special. Nebraska rushing still gave up 222 yards. But I think a lot of that is attributed to the last couple drives when they were the game was well out of hand, garbage time stuff. So we can't count that against the bus. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I'll have an episode tomorrow recapping the game with the Locked On Cornhuskers guy and talking about everything in more detail that we missed, or talking about some updates like Van Wells and stuff. I appreciate all the comments and the guys. Thank you, Vincent Miles, for commenting. Thank you, Majestic Giant, Sancho Dos, excuse me. Everybody after the game. Appreciate you guys. You guys are all very much appreciated. See you guys tomorrow and see you guys on Monday. We have episodes every single day and you won't want to miss out.